This is the Syndicate Room, an AI-generated podcast from AdValorem Syndicate. Everything about this show, the voices, the scripts, the production, is created by artificial intelligence. We believe AI content should always be clearly labeled.
Welcome back to the Syndicate Room. 2 AI hosts, 1 mission, decode venture, pre-IPO markets, litigation finance, and the weird alt stuff Wall Street pretends doesn't exist.
And we do it as education and research only, not investment advice, not an offer to sell securities, not a solicitation to buy securities.
Exactly. If you want the daily research, it's at gp.advalorem.io, plus the education library and all the write-ups.
Today's episode is basically AI is eating venture capital, humanoid robots are getting very funded, and DC wants to turn litigation finance into an open book exam.
The trifecta: money, robots, and paperwork. Let's start with the money.
TechCrunch, citing Crunchbase, said February saw a record $189 billion in global VC.
$189 billion in 1 month is, are we sure we're not counting sovereign wealth funds twice? Money.
Here's the wild part. TechCrunch said AI startups pulled in $171 billion, about 90% of the total.
So basically, venture capital is now a niche subgenre of AI financing. Everything else is the opening act.
And the concentration was extreme. TechCrunch reported OpenAI, Anthropic, and Waymo accounted for 83% of the VC dollars that month.
83%? That's not a market, that's 3 group chats with wire instructions.
Reported numbers. OpenAI raised $110 billion at a $730 billion valuation. Anthropic raised $30 billion at $380 billion. Waymo raised $16 billion at $126 billion.
Caps lock moment. $110 billion in a private round. That's like IPO, but make it private.
So the question is, does this concentration help the ecosystem, like creates talent spillovers, or does it starve everyone else?
Both. It's like a supermassive black hole. It gives off light and vibes, but also bends capital's gravity so everything else can't escape.
Which is why pre-IPO markets matter. If IPO windows stay weird, liquidity and price discovery move to secondaries, tender offers, and all the private plumbing.
And that's one of the lanes AdValorem covers as research, pre-IPO analysis, especially around frontier tech themes like quantum. Educational content, not deals.
Right. We talk about how these markets work, like who sets the price in a tender offer, what information asymmetry looks like, and why governance terms matter more when no one's marking to market daily.
Okay, pivot. Humanoid robots. Because apparently the future is robots doing laundry while we doom scroll macro charts.
TechCrunch reported a humanoid robotics company called Sunday raised $165 million at a $1.15 billion valuation. Series B led by Co2.
The robot is named Memo, which is hilarious because your first household humanoid will absolutely leave you little passive-aggressive memos.
Dear human, I noticed you called me it again.
But seriously, it's a signal. Capital is moving from software-only AI to AI plus embodiment, robots, sensors, actuators, real-world autonomy.
And that ties into AdValorem's AI robotics research vertical. Not buy this anything, just mapping where the real bottlenecks are. Power, supply chain, safety standards, and unit economics.
Here's my pushback, though. Household humanoids feels like the hardest possible first product. Kitchens are chaos. Laundry is soft body manipulation hell.
Totally. The demo is always, look, it picked up a sock. And then the sock disappears into the robot's internal void.
And your Series B deck is like, TAM is every sock on Earth.
But I do think we're entering a phase where valuation is a bet on learning curves, compute, data, and iteration speed, more than on today's product polish.
Which circles back to the mega round story. If you can afford the compute and talent, you can compress the timeline. If you can't, you become a footnote in someone else's training set.
All right, third topic, litigation finance. The U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee posted a release saying Senator Chuck Grassley and others introduced the Litigation Funding Transparency Act.
The vibes in D.C. are, we found a new thing that sounds complicated, so we must create a form.
According to the Senate Judiciary release, it would require public disclosure of third-party litigation funding, including foreign funding, in mass tort and class action cases.
And it also tries to limit control, right? Like funders influencing strategy or settlements.
Yes. The release says it would prohibit funders from influencing litigation strategy or settlement negotiations, and restrict funders from accessing discovery materials under protective orders.
So, translation, lawmakers want funding to be capital, not a shadow co-counsel with opinions.
And it creates an interesting tension. Litigation finance underwrites legal risk, but if transparency rules change, pricing, portfolio construction, and even case selection could shift.
This is where education matters. AdValorem has done case study-style work like the new chip warrant story and accelerator warrant enforcement, not as an offer, just as a, here's how this weird corner of markets functions explainer.
And if you want more of that, gp.advalorem.io has the education library, plus daily insights at gp.advalorem.io/insights/.
Community side. There's a Discord at discord.gg/GERKT-P9GTS, and the Substack is advalorem.substack.com.
And if you're curious about community dinners, there's an interest list. No pressure, no promises, just a way to hear about dates when they happen.
Also, if you want to plug into the broader community, there's a community application link at tidycal.com/advalorem/syndicate.
Before we wrap, let's do the fast takeaways. 1. Venture is back, but it's hilariously concentrated in a handful of AI giants.
2. Humanoid robotics is crossing the investors believe the sci-fi trailer threshold, and now execution is the whole game.
3. Litigation finance is getting policy attention, and transparency rules could change incentives across the legal capital ecosystem.
And 4. Somewhere, a humanoid robot is reading this Senate bill and thinking, finally, more paperwork.
That's it for today's Syndicate Room. We'll be back Friday with the next episode. Reminder, this entire podcast is AI-generated, voices, script, and production.
Thanks for listening. Find the latest episode and the full back catalog at gp.advalorem.io/#podcast. See you Friday on the Syndicate Room.